Alright, we are here. It is time for the final world and final level of Sid the Dummy, which has another smaller level inside of it, which only makes it longer. These pits right here may as well all be instant death pits. There's no climbing back up if we fall down. Thankfully, this platform is not any harder to jump on than the clockwork that we were jumping on back in the cemetery. And we want to walk through these spike pillars from the top or bottom, not through the center, or else we'll inevitably get hit because we'll have to move diagonally. Though there is a section where we'll have to move diagonally later anyway. This new dummy type, the medieval dummies, are actually not very weak to our fists, which means we have to use either our bazooka or our super attack on them, but our bazooka is not currently available because we have no ammo for it. And we want to save our super attacks, which means our only option is what you just saw, which is kind of a shame. But it's not like we could do anything else. Jumping on this platform with a spring may seem kind of scary, but the platform stops when it reaches you for a brief moment, so it's not nearly as terrifying as it may seem. And again, it's not that much more difficult than jumping on the clock hands, but if we fall down, that's it, we're just done. Now we are indoors where most of the level is going to take place, and I forgot there was a loading screen here. The crates seem to take more and more hits with each level, which is rather odd. It's not like the crates were a source of challenge or anything. These spikes over here on the wall come out at different speeds. The top and bottom spikes, they don't come out at the same time, but you don't really need to worry about that. Just walk past them. Same as you would any other spike trap, really. This level does have the most traps in it and the most timers. And here's our first timer. If you can't make your way past the dummies in time, I suppose you could consider this one challenging as they may stop you, but other than that, the timer is pretty lenient on you. And the stalactites are back, just in the form of spiked balls this time, but they still have shadows, which means they're basically the same thing. And down here is our first secret area.
You found a secret area.
We already have 17 and now 18 lives, but this level is pretty difficult, so we're going to take as many as we can get. I did memorize less secret locations for this level than the others.
Did you see that?
But that's because I just really wanted to focus on getting through more than anything else. These pendulums from the graveyard are just as easy as they ever were, which is to say very. A lot of areas in this level have both upper and lower levels, like right here. It's important to remember that because otherwise you can easily miss them. And after I'm done pounding on this crate, we're going to finally get our bazooka ammo for the first time in the level. And while it's still useless against enemies, we are going to use it to interact with the environment very briefly. Thankfully, again, this version allows you to use a cursor to aim, otherwise it would be nearly impossible to hit this thing, or deal with the final boss. I assume I thought there was a trap down there, which is why I adjusted the camera, and this switch opens up a pathway way back near where we got that extra life, so we're just gonna cut to when we get there. That black spot was just me cutting out a very obvious death. Very embarrassing death as well, could have easily avoided it by using a super attack, and it's good to see the buzzsaws are getting some more work. We haven't seen these guys since the Swamp Temple. We're going to be seeing them a lot in the next few minutes. Especially for right here, which is our first actually difficult timer challenge of the level. First of all, we have to backflip in such a way that we don't hit the buzzsaws, but we also have to make it up to the platforms without getting hit, and on top of them without getting hit. Your worst enemy here is trying to move too fast. Because if you're overzealous and get hit by one of the buzzsaws, you can fall down and have to do the whole thing over. And then get hit more the second time. Yes, we did have to destroy those two dummies as well if we wanted to proceed, which means we're getting rather low on special attacks. We're not even halfway done with the level yet, we're only 4 minutes in. And here's a section I rather like. This is Buzzsaw Hell. There are very minimal, but still existent safe spaces for you, and you have to move really fast. Also, you should have gotten used to the jump arc by now, because if you haven't, that would have destroyed you. And if that seemed kind of harrowing, well, now we have to do it with a timer. Of course I'm going to trigger the spike balls first. That way we don't have any surprises. But in spite of that, I still managed to get hit on the way back. But that's okay, because I can make my way back up without getting hit this time, now that I remember where to stand. This section actually isn't so bad. It's easy enough to figure out how to move just by observing where the buzzsaws go. Not really any trial and error necessary here. And this last buzzsaw, you really have to book it to make it past this guy, or else he'll clip you in the butt. It would be a shame if you got this far and just rushed through this level, because then things like these spike balls would probably actually kill you, and that would make you too frustrated to finish the game. But a lot of things would probably make you too frustrated to finish the game, and that's why I'm here. It is the unfortunate case that even though we have a cursor, we can't aim downward with our bazooka. Sid just can't do that. And now we have the ice ammo, which will be very useful in this level. This spring busts through a wall that takes us back to where we were earlier in the level. Right back to our last checkpoint, in fact. This is so we can bust down these doors and grab whatever might have been inside.
Did you see that?
Which isn't a whole lot, is it? There's not a whole lot here for us. Now, I changed my mind and turned back around because I thought, wait, maybe that last door has an extra area since there's nothing in it. But I checked the footage, and there just used to be a battery in here, but the battery disappears for some reason on its own. This is especially baffling since you don't have the ice ammo your first time through there, so there's no way you could grab it. It's time for more time platforms, and these ones are kind of unique. Getting on the platforms within the time limit isn't that difficult, but when we are on the platforms, we have to press more switches to activate more timers. The timers are still lenient enough that we don't really need to worry. We still have more than enough time. But activating timed switches while we're on a timed platform, that's new. The game hasn't done that yet. And it could probably make for some good stressful platforming. This is the first instance where we have to move diagonally through the spike pillars. It is a lot more difficult, gives you a lot less time to react to them. And we do have to fight yet more medieval dummies here. I couldn't tell you why I don't use my freezing ammo. Maybe I just forgot we had it. But using the freezing ammo there definitely would have been preferred to using another super attack. I would say live and learn, but I'm not going to play this again, so it's more like live and live. Now it's time for a rather cruel, seemingly impossible, but still possible hazard. And we actually made it through without getting hit. I'm proud of myself. This is where the only other playthrough of Sid the Dummy, this is where it gave up at. This is where the guy stopped. And now you can see why the freezing laser ammo is so useful. Those dummies that otherwise would have probably killed us, they're gone now, thanks to the freezing ammo. The ceiling spikes are back, and so is the wall shimmying, and these are actually really close together, and they come out pretty fast. Kinda difficult to avoid getting hit, but it is possible. Thankfully, the guy who gave up, thankfully he died to enemies and not those spikes. Would have been a little sad if he died to those spikes. We have the fire ammo now, which is not nearly as useful as the freezing ammo, unfortunately. But we did need it to bust down that wooden barricade. For some reason, you can't freeze the wooden barricade into non-existent, you have to burn it. I can't imagine Detroit uses this mansion for any practical reasons. It has to be like this just in case someone wants to stop him, right? This has to be the whole reason that this place exists. Because if it weren't for all these traps, there would be so much empty space here. It would be such a waste. I mean, can you imagine how much it must have cost to build this place? It's enormous. This is someone's house. There's an extra life over there to the left that I really want. But there's an evil dummy in the way. I did say the fire ammo wasn't as useful, but it is still useful. Now that we have the regular ammo back, we can get that extra life. Of course, the extra life is on a timer, though. They could have made that timer a lot more strict, but that probably would have been a little bit too far, considering people who make it here probably don't have nearly as many lives as I do. I can't recall exactly where the guy who played through that, well, almost played through this stopped, but I think we've passed it now. I know it was in this area. I think we're past it. I I want to give him credit. It seems like he made it through most of the game without any problems. And you remember the Swamp Temple? Well, the Swamp Temple's aesthetic is back. I guess he just imported part of the Swamp Temple into his castle. Maybe that's why they were cutting down so many trees in that area, because Dr. Detroit, he just wanted some of that in his sweet mansion. I like that Detroit gets his own flag. That's pretty sweet. Honestly, not a bad symbol either. Not a generic skull or anything like that. Anyway, back on the path of progress, we have some barrels we should jump on, but first we need to go down. Like, a lot down. Because down here is a switch that opens a mandatory gate, and we wouldn't be able to proceed past those barrels without it. When I came down here to press this switch, my first thought was, they're gonna make it a timer, aren't they? I'm gonna have to run all the way back up and jump on those barrels while the timer is ticking down. But no, we don't have to. Because there is no timer. Actually, very nice of them, considering how much of this game is pretty frustrating. And as you saw, we can't press those switches using our freezing laser ammo, because it's still a projectile. Or rather, a more normal projectile. If we were to use our fire ammo, we wouldn't have been able to press that switch. These barrels function the way you would expect. The more we run on them, the more they resist us. So we're going to want to jump instead of run. That's really all there is to these things. I mean, obviously, after all, the barrels cannot resist us if we're in the air. So that seems like a no-brainer. You know, the term no-brainer sounds really weird, because what is a brainer? Who even says the word brainer? I don't think I've ever heard the word brainer unless it was used with the word no. You get to a puzzle, and if it's hard, you say, man, that's a real brainer right there. This section isn't a brainer either, I just keep jumping wrong, which is my fault. This isn't even that hard. And there's another checkpoint right here. The checkpoints seem fairly well spaced, considering how difficult this level can be. But there wasn't a lot of fighting in that section, was there? This section, by comparison, also doesn't have a lot of fighting, but it has a lot of these plants. And I mean, like, a lot of them. They work exactly the same as when we saw them in the Swamp Temple, though. It's time for some more mandatory fire ammo, because again, it's the only thing that can break down these wooden boards. Sometimes you accidentally make Sid do a wall run, and that's unfortunate. Sid? Okay, alright, glitch is over. We're good now. Little worried I had to restart the level. That was the closest the game has come to making a glitch break the level progression to the point I couldn't proceed. This timer could be considered hard because we have to jump past all the plants to get there. But even if we take damage from all of them, we should still be able to make it. And we're almost done with this section, but this still isn't the end of the level, because like I said, this level has a smaller level inside of it. Yes, welcome to the second half of World 8, which takes place inside Detroit's laboratory. It still counts this all as part as one level, though. So if you stop here, you don't get to come back here. You have to start from the beginning. This part of the level also has a lot of fighting in it. And we unfortunately don't have our ammo anymore. The game took that away from us. What we do have, though, is a lot of vials to break open. And these vials often contain orbs, which is good since, you know, we only have 8 of those. Kinda all out of special attacks at this point. Some of these vials also have teleporters that take us to secret areas, and I missed one just there, but I'll get another one later. I don't know how I missed that one. I also don't know how I accidentally performed a wall run, but here's a new enemy type. And this one, thankfully very much, is weak to our punches. I never thought I would be so appreciative of enemies that could go down with just a few waggles, but yeah, it's good to see those guys back again. We still don't have any ammo to take care of these scientists. We can reasonably stunlock those scientists most of the time, but sometimes they will break us out of our combo. So I would prefer to have some ammo to deal with them from a distance. Most of the time the ammo is very useless, but these corridors are long enough that we could successfully aim and shoot at enemies. This portion of the level also has laser fields that we have to disable by pressing buttons. But even after we disable them, they can come back. They don't have a timer like everything else that comes back, but they do. So don't let yourself be fooled into thinking that you have unlimited time to make your way through the laser fields. We got an extra life there. That extra life is not always there, but by random chance sometimes extra lives can appear inside crates. That's the first time that happened during this recording though, so as you can tell it doesn't happen frequently. When we're down here we have to press another switch to deactivate the laser field way back up at the top. And we do have to make it back up there fairly quickly or else we risk not doing it in time. Yeah, that was pretty close. If the laser field comes back while we're standing inside of it, that will hurt. There was really no choice there but to use a super attack, and here's one of the secret areas inside a vial. There was another one that, as I said, we missed, but we did get this one, which is good, because now we have 19 extra lives. Unlike every other secret area, though, these ones are timed. We only have a very limited time inside there. Plenty enough to get the extra life, though, which really that's the important thing, even if having more orbs would also be nice. I don't know what to say about those two hazards. Rather simple, considering how difficult they could have been. Maybe the conveyor belt should have moved a bit faster. There was a masterful edit right there because I died right at the end of this section. And another masterful edit right here because I died in this section. But what are you gonna do? There's an extra life down near the bottom, but we're not gonna bother with that. Instead, we're gonna climb our way upward toward progress. Maneuvering our way across these ledges is actually quite difficult because the way the Cid moves along them is rather odd, rather strange. We ignored that extra life because the stuff we would have to do to get fire ammo is a little bit out of my scope. And we're so near the end of the level right now. I mean, we don't want to mess anything up, do we? That was a brief break from the laboratory section, but now we're back to the laboratory section for the hardest platforming in the game. But maybe this upcoming timer will change your mind. After we flip this switch, we have to jump our way back to a vertical moving platform that isn't always where we need it to be, and then use that to jump through the timed gate. If we miss, we have to jump back over to the switch and start again, because the timer isn't that lenient. But we got it the first try, so I'd probably just looked a little crazy telling you how difficult it was, but trust me, the difficulty is there. We're very, very near the end of the level now. At least, I believe we are. Another quick edit right there because we died again, and look, do you think we came to this level with over 15 lives just for show? No, we came here with 15 lives because this level is hard. Probably. I mean, I'm one of the very few people who played this game, so maybe how difficult it seems is all in my head.
You found a secret area.
Thank you. It is another secret area with another extra life, but we're not going to need 16 extra lives for the very end of the level, thankfully. Now it's time for the last group of enemies in the game. And I'm prepared for these ones. I'm prepared. We're going to come up here above them and then drop down on the right. Because they won't follow us while we're up here, which gives us a good opportunity to recollect our bearings and aim at them from a distance. We're going to even tilt the camera to make it easier. It is the unfortunate case that they will break out of the ice very quickly. But even considering that, I should still be able to beat these guys without dying. And after they're down, well, we'll be pretty much all done with the level. This is the last group of enemies. Just a bit more platforming and then we get to the final boss and the final cutscene, so I hope you're hype. Because even though most of the story has been exhausted, there is still one small twist left. There's also some really strange and terrible writing. Not because of the plot twist, mind you. The plot twist is fine, but there's some strange writing for the characters, and oh no, it's Mr. Madness in his final appearance. What are we gonna do? Well, in spite of him being a lot more aggressive this time, he goes down just as easily, so... Yep, that's it. No more Mr. Madness. The level is over. It's time for the final cutscenes and the final boss.
I must give the Professor some credit. The latest ESS model is impressive. You're the first one to get to the castle unharmed. Detroit, let my daughter go. You still don't get it, do you? You can't bring your real daughter back. I know. Believe me, I know. But if there's even a tiny bit of my daughter left in Mia, I need her with me. I'm going to dismantle her and take back what is rightfully mine. The ESS system.
I'm warning you, Detroit. Don't harm a single hair, wire, or cable on her head. Hold on, Mia. I'm coming.
Alright, it's final boss time, and I want you to remember that Sid, he seems really adamant about not letting Dr. Detroit hurt Mia. Because he knows how important Mia is to the professor, right? Alright, let's keep that in mind. So, this phase of the final boss, really easy, I'm happy to say. But it would be nearly impossible without the cursor to aim our shot. And I'm sure I don't have to tell you why. It's because the whole thing revolves around our bazooka. These lasers move a bit quickly and can be tricky to avoid, but they're not impossible. But even if you can't avoid them, health respawns so quickly that it's a non-issue. I mean, the health is already back. The biggest complaint I have about this fight, really, is that it still takes a very long time. But aside from that, you should have no problem with this, as long as you're playing the Wii version. I can't imagine how this would even work if you were playing the other versions. Seems like it would be nigh impossible. Welcome to the second phase, which is kind of like Crusher Robot. We have to bait the good doctor into attacking us with his maces, and then we shoot the maces to hurt him. Or not hurt him, rather, but hurt his maces. And after we deal enough damage, they pop right off. And by pop right off, I mean they explode. But the point is that this part of the fight is also very easy. We just move left or right, and after he's done baiting us, we simply shoot. Again, a lot easier thanks to the cursor, but this section would definitely be possible without it, unlike the last one. This final boss music was also used in that flashback cutscene we saw back on the Ice World. I just thought that was a neat bit of trivia. But we're gonna skip to the end of this phase, because it's taken a while. Welcome to the third and final phase of the boss battle with Detroit. During this phase, he summons a bunch of goons, and if he ever catches up with us, he'll shoot a laser. The idea is to run around the arena constantly grabbing orbs, and when we have enough orbs to use a special attack, we will use that special attack to deal damage. Excuse me, did I say laser? I meant machine gun. But this phase of the fight isn't too difficult either, we just need to constantly keep moving in a circle. And yes, the only way we can damage him is with the special attacks. The easiest way to get yourself hit during this segment is to stop because you missed an orb you wanted. Don't stop, just keep moving and you'll loop back around. There's no reason to turn around if you miss something. It's just a big circle.
done, Sid. I knew you could do it. Mia is safe and sound, back where she belongs.
I almost decided to leave her there. She's way too demanding for my liking.
You meanie! How can you say something like that? Detroit wanted to take me to pieces and steal my ESS.
Perhaps he could have made a nice microwave out of your spare parts. Or a hi-fi, since you're so noisy.
I know. I'm sorry. My stupid behavior put us all in danger. You were so brave, though, to rescue me like that. Thank you.
Actually, it wasn't my idea. I only did it so I could see life outside the warehouse. It's not all it's cracked up to be. I think I'm going to remove this ESS chip.
No, you shouldn't. Sid!
Wait a minute. There's nothing there.
I'm sorry, Sid. I couldn't send you to Detroit with the latest ESS chip. I was afraid he'd steal that too.
That means...
I know. I'm sorry. Please don't be angry.
Angry? I did it all by myself. I am a hero!
I said you were different.
We're not such dummies after all. Can we go home now?
Yes, I have to tell the others about this.
Of course, my children. I'm so proud of you both. Let's go home.